quorum tonight, so we will proceed to the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? Any questions on the minutes? All right, seeing none, we'll proceed to an oath of office for Commissioner Anderson.
Commissioner, if you could stand and raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. I, Ben Anderson, do affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the State of Minnesota, and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Hastings, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Hastings Economic Development and Redevelopment Authority Commissioner, HEDRA,
The duties
The
of,
duties of Hastings Economic Development and Redevelopment Authority
for the City of Hastings,
for the City of Hastings,
Counties of Dakota and Washington,
Counties of Dakota and Washington,
and State of Minnesota,
and State of Minnesota,
according to the best of my ability and understanding.
according to the best of my ability and understanding.
Glad to have your continued service, sir.
Thank you.
and with that, congratulations, Commissioner Anderson. We look forward to you continuing to serve. I think we're on item 3 now, the bills, John, or?
I had a couple of bills here from December. Notice on the top here, Stantec Consulting with the Confluence Project. We are really close to seeing the last of our bills for the Confluence Project. As you can see, this is under project closeout right now. They'd finished up the environmental covenants, which is something that we have to record with the property to go through best practices for different systems and so forth to ensure the environmental integrity of the property. So that's finishing up that one. We had a few facade improvement grants that we approved, and then some work on some other industrial park sales. So I can stand for any questions.
Any questions? If none, I'll stand for a motion to approve the bills.
I move that we approve the bills.
A second, I see a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay, got the bills. And now we're on to section 4 of our agenda, business. And under item A, we've got election and appointment of officers for 2024.
I can give a brief introduction to that, Madam President.
Thank you.
We have a few appointments that we do need to make tonight. A couple of these are at the direction of the HEDRA commissioners themselves. A few of these are standard appointments that we ask for you to consider. One would be the appointment of Mr. Alex Menke here as a Secretary of HEDRA. Appoint Chris Idemiller, our Finance Manager, as the Assistant Treasurer for HEDRA. And then designate Corey Land, who was our City Attorney, and Andrea McDowell-Paler, who is our TIF Attorney, as legal counsel. So those positions would be unchanged. The one that you do have to consider tonight is the election of officers. So we do have an appointment for both the President, Vice President, and Treasurer position. And these positions must be elected from the citizen commissioners that are on the board. And these can be done either as a single motion of all three, or they can be done individually. We'd ask for a motion or a second on that one. So I will cede for any questions and take any action you desire. Thank you.
The question I have, John, do we have to make a motion for Alex as a secretary and Chris, and can that be wrapped in the same motion?
It could be all wrapped in the
Okay.
same motion, yep.
Is there any opposition to wrapping everything in the same motion along with the appointment of President, Vice President, and Treasurer? Okay, with that, I'll stand for a motion for President for 2024.
I motion to elect Trevor to President.
Do we need a second on that? I would assume so. Second for Commissioner Carter. So we've got Commissioner Johnson, motion for Commissioner Johnson as President. I'll accept a motion for Vice President.
Nominate Commissioner Anderson.
Okay, do we have a second on that? I'll second that for Commissioner Anderson as Vice President. Treasurer, do we have a motion for Treasurer?
Motion for Commissioner Carter.
Second.
Okay, so we've got a motion in front of us for Commissioner Johnson for president for 2024, Commissioner Anderson for vice president for 2024, Commissioner Carter as treasurer for 2024, Alex Menke as secretary 2024, Chris Ettenmiller as finance manager as assistant treasurer, and Corey Land for city attorney, and Andrea McDowell as legal counsel. So with that, I think we need one singular vote. Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Congratulations to everybody.
I'm so
And I'm
sorry,
going to pass the
Your
gavel.
Honor. Can I make a comment?
Sure.
Thank you for your leadership over the past term. You've been instrumental in so many important things that HEDRA has done, and your questions and your perspective and your casual grace in running meetings is really, really appreciated.
Thank you, Commissioner Fox. I really appreciate those comments. And it was a great year. It was an easy year. And, everybody here is wonderful. So that sure helps too. All right. With that, I'm going to turn over the gavel.
All right, well, Mr. President, and the next thing I have on our agenda is the authorization of bank signatories. That's the resolution in your packet. Those will have the blanks filled in for president, treasurer, assistant treasurer, per the last motion.
Are there any questions on this before I take motions? Okay.
I will move approval of Resolution 2024-01, authorization of banking signatures.
All right. All in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Approved. John, you want to lead us through sale of the property?
Sure, I will turn this over to Alex here, who will go through a presentation. Do you know how to put that up there?
I believe so.
Okay, I'm going to maybe do a test here. Just that one on the lower left, or right?
Put in PC?
Oh, there, actually, sorry.
Okay. We're live. All righty. Perfect. Commissioners, thank you. So we are here to discuss the potential sale of property to Rio Grande Express LLC for 601 31st Street East. So quick business description. Rio Grande Express LLC is an owner-operator trucking company, currently with 23 years of experience, with a location in Hastings, just north off of Highway 61. They own 3 trailers, and they are looking to add a second location, also in Hastings. The site description, here is the parcel ID number. The site area is just under 1 acre. It is located in the industrial park, and the sale price is $93,654. The proposed design is an 8,600 square foot building. This would be for office use and truck storage. There would be space for 3 semi-trucks indoors, along with 4 additional indoor spaces for rent, outdoor parking for 3 to 7 semi-trailers, and also some designated maintenance work area on the interior. On the right is an image of the inspiration for the design. Not the official design, I believe. Correct, thank you. So upon staff review, staff is supportive of the sale and the concept plan. We do encourage Rio Grande Express LLC to pursue a driveway access easement with the adjacent property to the east. And the site plan approval would be required by City Council prior to the final sale of the property. Actions we are asking is for the HEDRA Board to hold a public hearing and then approve Resolution 2024-03, approving the sale of property and authorizing signature of the purchase agreement. I will stand for any questions, and I also invite the owners of the company to come up and say a few words if they'd like to.
And then just from a point of procedure, Mr. President, I think the best action to do first would be to open up in the public hearing see if there's any comment on that, close that, and then we can go to discussion pertaining to the project. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Open to any public comment if there are any desired.
I just want to comment that the building looks really cool. I love the image.
Yeah, and I'm just checking on we do have a Zoom meeting open for this. There is nobody on Zoom right here. I don't know if there's anyone else who wants to make a public comment in the audience. If there's not, Mr. President, you can opt to close that if you choose.
Okay, any other questions from the commissioners?
Thank you.
Commissioner Fox.
Thank you, Your Honor. My only comment was about the access, the driveway, and I appreciate Alex mentioning that in his slides. My other question is, just based on other properties that we work with, this is quite, correct me if I'm wrong, quite small. Is there a potential that you would need to expand? And based on that answer, it doesn't look like the adjacent properties are open. So is that a concern of yours, is one of my questions?
No, we would want to expand anything.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to double check because
It is pretty small.
it's 1 acre. Yeah.
It's a good size.
Perfect. Okay. Just double checking. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah, good question, thank you. Anything else from anybody? Okay, we will close the public comment. I'll stand for motion.
I move to accept resolution number 2024-03, approving solid property and authorizing signature of the purchase agreement.
I second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries.
Congratulations.
Okay, resolution number 2024-02, item D on the agenda. Staff, go ahead and fill us in on that.
Sure. Open to Business Program, we're looking for an extension of our joint powers agreement with Dakota County on this. And I contemplated whether to hold off on this item until next month because we will have our local representative Natalie Musil here, who is absolutely wonderful. And I'm looking forward to her coming and sharing some of the great experiences that they do. But from a business standpoint, we're looking to enact this again for a 3-year period. The contract term is the same, other than instead of a 2-year period, we'd be doing it for 3 years. The price for it's still the same, which is $5,500 annually on this. Within the annual report, I'll share a few items related to open to business and their impact within Hastings. But just in the last year, they've had a couple of redevelopment loans that they've been able to grant to leverage more funds, the one-on-one business counseling. I really believe that this is a great deal that we get for the money that we spend. So I will stand for any questions or comments. Thank you.
My only comment is that's great that the price stays the same. I think it's, it's been something we've discussed multiple times at our meetings about the idea that Hastings seems to really take advantage for the price. We're getting a great bang for our bucks, so thanks.
Apologies if I missed it. Is the business counseling through them free to local businesses?
Yes, Commissioner, the business counseling is free, correct.
Does that have a pretty high utilization rate?
We
in
had
town?
about 15 to 19 people last year that were business owners that utilized this and about 15 residents that utilized that in the last year. So when we take a look at the numbers within Dakota County for the other communities that also utilize this service, we were in the middle on that one. There was much larger cities on that were comparable to what we got out of it.
Did we get any feedback from those 30 or so?
Commissioner, I didn't get any direct feedback from them, but a lot of the individuals that they met with eventually came forward with applications, and so I see the benefit from there.
Yeah. Is that something we promote to local businesses to contact them?
We do. And actually, with some of the redevelopment loan fund programs we have, we instituted an advantage from a loan rate standpoint if they were to meet with
Okay.
open to business, just because we believe in the importance of the program.
That's great. Thank you.
Were there any issues with available hours or anything like that? Was capacity sufficient?
Yeah, Commissioner, I'm not aware of any issues with hours. I know Natalie has an active calendar that you can just reserve a time, and then she will meet with you a lot of times at Pleasant Hill Library in town here, or at your place of business or wherever, but I'm not aware of any conflicts that came up with that.
And I can also add something to that. Though Natalie is our regional, our county representative, if there is someone that needs different assistance, or there is another individual in open to business that has different expertise, those individuals working with open to business can utilize those resources as well. There are different advisors that are tagged to different counties that are also fluent in different languages. So if there are applicants or individuals that are getting business counseling that would benefit from non-English speaking individuals, then those resources are available as well. So we have one representative, but they are able to kind of use the entire organization.
Thank you, Mr. President. I sound like a broken record every year. I cannot recommend this program more. Open to Business has been crucial for so many businesses in our community, and I'm so grateful to Dakota County and the CDA for the resources that we have. And to reflect on Commissioner Anderson's questions, we are also fortunate to have Alex and John who promote it to our potential businesses in town and to our community. I think we, if I remember correctly from reports in the past, we as a community use it at a higher rate than other communities. And I think that speaks to the work that our community development program does to get people involved in the work, right? So thank you, but also thank you to Open to Business, and I cannot recommend it more.
I have one follow-up question based on that to Commissioner Fox, actually, perhaps to Commissioner Carter. Is it promoted at all by the chamber?
Natalie does a good job looping the chamber in with various business training and events that she does throughout the year. And I think through there, the chamber is aware that this program is. Now, could we work on that to improve it? Yeah, probably. Yeah. But there is that connection.
Any other points of conversation?
Yes, Your Honor. I don't want to sound biased, but I did use a few years. I'm an entrepreneur, and a few years ago, Natalie did help me. And I appreciate the flexibility that she has. She's willing to meet clients wherever. She's very knowledgeable, and she's very resourceful. So if there's something that she cannot answer, she will also give you the resources. So I just kind of wanted to be careful because I did use the services, but I don't want to sound biased. But again, they're very, very helpful. And then I also referred to a friend in Cottage Grove that's an entrepreneur to open a business, and they even said the same thing, that this was very, very helpful. And they didn't know about it at all, so maybe getting it out there more would be great.
Excellent. Thank you. Great feedback. Yeah. Okay. Well, if there's no further discussion on that, I'll stand for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All right. All in favor of approving the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Great. Reports and information.
Sure. Going through some development updates, new activities going in around town. I think everyone knows the KFC is open finally, so a lot of people waiting for that to happen. So that is open. Go down and get the Colonel's Best. Current 33 apartment building. The first building's open and leasing out. I do plan to reach out to them shortly to see, hey, how things going on the lease rate on there. So that's 107 units, I believe, in the first building. The second building, 104 units, is under construction. 2 or 3 stories are framed up as we speak, so that's going around great. Interesting project at County Road 47 with the senior housing project being modular construction. It's kind of a fun thing to watch as it goes up, but last time I was out there, they've got the second floor modulars going up. I don't have an opening date for that at this point, but I think more towards spring, summer of this year, so that is moving along. Walden Development, which is the annexation project down on Red Wing Boulevard, Michael Avenue, we have an application in for preliminary plat, and this would be for 450 units. This is very similar to the concept plan that they developed for the annexation. A little bit less units than they had within the environmental assessment. I think that's typical with an EAW. You shoot for the high end of it in case you don't want to go over that if that changes. So we went through an initial review of that, waiting for a few bits of information before we deem it complete. It may come before Planning Commission in late February, Council in March on that one, so we'll see what happens there. EAW for that's the environmental assessment end of it. Comment period has ended. I think we had 11 comments in. We're going to be addressing those comments at the February 5th council meeting and seeing if the council is ready to determine that the environmental review is adequate and for them to move forward in allowing the project to be considered. So there wouldn't be any approvals related to the project, but more that it would cease the environmental review aspect of it. So big project that's coming forward, looking forward to that, seeing more of it. Well, one of the other projects that we gave approval to last year, which was Greg Lawford, the construction of his auto garage at 3000 Lightbourne Court, that one's under construction. Been a great winter for that. So it's being framed up, and he's moving along, which is great. We do note that there was a $250,000 grant that we received last year for the Tyler Street Landing project. That was Luke Seward's project within the downtown area. That one did expire at the end of last year. There was conversations between the CDA and Mr. Seward about that, knowledge that this would expire at the end of the year. We haven't seen any other action on that one or activities. The approvals that we have for land use, I think, are valid until August of this year, so we hope to see a project come forward in there, but understand there's been difficulties and challenges with that. And one important thing to note here for future consideration by HEDRA potentially is we had a planning committee meeting of the council, Councilmember Fox and Liefeld and Folch on Monday night. The planning committee reviews various land use actions to give general direction prior to anything being official. There's no final votes taken. With that preamble, the item we brought before them were a couple of properties that the city owns that are near Pleasant Drive and Highway 55 South Frontage Road area. We have a 1.3 acre property just east of the library. If you look east of the library, it's flat, then a great big hill that goes down. And then one just to the south of that between Hastings Marketplace Townhomes run by the CDA and Westview Mall. This is about a 4 acre property. If you drive by it today, it looks more like a stormwater basin, which it does serve partially on the property. We did have a letter of interest submitted for that property. The question we had for the planning committee was, should we consider these properties for sale? They were dedicated to the city for public purposes back in 1968 when the area was platted. We had a conversation with the city attorney to determine if the city determines that there's not a public use for this property, can the city be in the position to offer that property for private sale and development, unencumbered with any use restrictions pertaining to public use? Determination was you could. There was a 30-year limit on that. That 30-year limit has expired. So the discussion on planning committee, and Jen, please jump in if I'm going astray here. With the property next to the library, we wanted to hold off on bringing that to the public sale at this point. Wanted to check in more with Dakota County to see if there would be any other use, library or whatnot for the property, and then make determinations of that in the future. With the property to the south, the 4 acre property, the discussion with the group was, let's take a look at bringing that one to market. And so on the next council meeting on February 5th, we will be asking council to convey that 4 acre property from the city to HEDRA, since HEDRA is the development authority and the best body to deal with property transactions we will be doing that. Assuming the council takes action on that, and I'm maybe being a bit presumptuous on this, I do plan to have that on the HEDRA agenda for the 8th. Part of that would likely be a closed-door session in which we could sit down with the letter of intent applicant CBRE and development and talk a little bit about what that would be from a project-specific standpoint. So just wanted to bring that forward to your attention. That's something that just kind of popped up here in the last week or two. So, Jen, anything more to add to that?
No.
Okay, all right. Any questions from the body at all?
It's kind of my walking route, so I'm the storm basin there. So it's not needed to collect water, or what portion of that are we looking at conveying? I'm trying to visualize what could be developed there.
And you're not alone by that.
Okay, good.
When you drive by there, it looks like a stormwater basin. And I've had discussions with the potential purchaser and told him that the stormwater that's conveyed there presently would still need to be conveyed on the property, plus any additional stormwater that would be generated by the new development. So there's an understanding that those would need to be encompassed with the new development. But yeah, you wouldn't picture it as being a development site.
It's a nice sledding site, and and I know it is a nice just visual, but it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'll keep this on. I have one, speaking of property transfers and conveyances from the city council, just an update that at the last council meeting, there was 7 lots within the industrial park that we had the council convey directly to HEDRA. These are lots that include the lot we had tonight, as well as other lots that are ready to be sold within the industrial park. This is going to allow for one trip forward by potential applicants in the future. We can hold a public hearing and take action that same night instead of having a review, asking the council to convey the land to HEDRA, then holding the public hearing and taking action. So council was agreeable to that, so those properties have been conveyed, and that'll make things a little easier from our end of things. Right. Any questions on that?
I have a question on Thorwood. Would now be the right time to
Sure.
do that? Okay, so I'm looking at the concept, which, it looks really interesting because it looks similar to, the original building. What's salvageable there? I'm trying to wrap my head around what could possibly be salvaged from that property.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of fire damaged portions and portions that were damaged from the elements from being out for so long. One of the things that we had the owner do was to go through, have a structural engineer go through that building with a fine-tooth comb to find out what can be salvaged, what needs to be taken out, essentially drawing up new plans. So we're comfortable that, albeit it looks terrible at this point, is from a damage standpoint, that certain structural members can be taken out and it can be brought back. From a standpoint of timeline, it's always been a project that has taken much longer than we would like. A lot of that came forward with a couple of ownerships, when the owners of the property, when the fire occurred, had the property for a year or two, not much happened, transferred it to another entity who had high hopes for the property, but frankly, limited experience, and nothing happened. When this new owner came forward, about 2 years ago now, they actually started doing some demolition, albeit it's been very slow. And we've been contemplating back and forth on how we can make that go quicker, because I understand from the neighbors around there, they must have a tremendous amount of patience, because that has been in a position of deterioration for so long. But moving along on it, I don't have a time frame beyond that.
I would just comment that the renderings that I'm seeing in the packet are really nice, and, I would, any progress there, I think, is great progress. So I'm excited about that. I'll I'll hold my excitement as it goes through, but
Yes.
thank you.
Of course. And then I'll step up the podium here and go through a little bit of our annual report.
John, while you're doing that, I wanted to say as a neighbor to that property that, yes, there is some changes and the roof area is covered now for the winter, but it really, yes, the brick walls, are very old and have sustained some damage, but, with talking to them once in a while when I walk by, you kind of get the feeling that, yes, it can succeed. And I'll leave it go at that.
Yes, I walked through the structure probably about maybe close to a year ago with the new owner. And yeah, I'm glad that he's moving forward with this. I frankly didn't think that we'd be in a position where somebody would, and that we would be in a position to knock it over. We might be there at some point still, but I want to see if this can happen. It's such a great old building. Okay, Commissioners, I'm going to give you a recap of our Community Development Annual Report here, in particular some of the activities in which HEDRA was involved in. When we look back at 2023, we had a lot of really interesting projects, in one big project in particular that came to fruition that this body had worked on it pretty much through its entirety when HEDRA was formed in 2009. So I'm going to go through a few items here today. Be free to interrupt me at any time with any questions on anything that I present. I always like to start with kind of this under construction item here. I'm going to grab something. There's a few notes I wrote down. So throughout town, we got a lot of cranes going up, which is great. So that's something a couple of years ago we didn't have as much of. So I do like to see all that activity going on. But just as a summary of what we've got, there we go. So last year, we had 207 new building permits came in here for new residential construction. I'll look at the numbers here in a little more to show where that is in comparison. But when you look back in the last 15, 20 years, that's one of our largest construction years we've had. It really go back to the early 2000s that we had numbers of that level. A lot of that was under the apartment construction that you see here. We have talked about Current 33 coming open, Heritage Ridge development, Lake Isabel Flats, Vermilion Acres. A lot of the projects that you see right here under construction and really adding to the number of units within town here. From a commercial development standpoint, we had 78 permits for commercial and industrial permits with about $38 million in valuation added on that one. The Confluence is the big one that we worked on here that opened after many years of planning and development. KFC, which is almost as exciting, on Vermilion Street. Therapy Ops on South Frontage Road for a new therapy center. We had the auto repair facility in Lightbourne Court, and then Regina Assisted Living and Dakota County Law Enforcement, both doing additions that are currently under construction there, which is great. In this capacity here as HEDRA, we have the unique opportunity for us to be involved in business assistance. And we were able to do that last year. The Facade Improvement Grant Program, we dispersed over $20,000 to people for 7 projects. That leveraged another $61,000 in additional private investment. So with the amount that we put in grants, we were able to get an additional $61,000 out. Maker's Market project went forward and expanded and really took hold on the riverfront with great success there. We talked about open to business here. From my notes here, 15 businesses, 11 residences in 2023. And then loans that Open to Business did. Open to Business had 2 loans totaling $229,000 within Hastings. That leveraged almost $600,000 in additional investment that would not have been here without it. So great things that we were able to see. As we look into the future here, we've got a lot of housing construction going on. We've got Highway 61 Vermilion Street that's going to be under construction in the next couple of years, and we'll be planning on how we can assist with that. We'll talk about Block 28 here in a moment. We continue to do our business outreach. And then we're continuing to annex and grow with the Walden development in the south end of town. So a lot of great projects that went forward in '23, a lot of exciting things to come forward as we look into '24 and beyond. So here's the numbers we had here from residential permits. So we're actually down a little bit from last year. I found an error in last year's report in that we counted one of the apartments under construction as 1 unit instead of 90. So that added a few units to last year's total. So we actually had 264 last year, 207 this year, 24 single-family homes, 182 apartment units there. With the commercial permits there, a little bit more than we did in '22. But look at the valuation, $38 million in valuation versus 16. We doubled that in the valuation increase with that. So great to see the investment within Hastings. When you look at the permits here, this is looking back to 2008 and beyond. Here's the last 2 years. So the recession hit about this time. You know, we had higher numbers, early 2000s. Then we just had this lull period for about 10 years where not much happened. We were generally under 50 units a year. And then we've had growth. A lot of that you can see in the purple here is within the apartment building construction, but there has been some more significant single family that's continued to go. And then with the growth and development that we see with new annexation lands, we will have more availability to do that in the future. So from a land supply standpoint, we're doing pretty good. We've got 147 lots for single family that are available right now that people can purchase and develop on. Within our inventory, which are lots that we've given some approvals to, they're well designed, they're well on their way of being approved, but haven't received the final approvals yet, almost another 200, and then much more in the lot inventory. Multifamily, we have that as well. Interesting thing is in the townhome section, we have not had a new townhome development within Hastings since about 2005, 2006. With this Walden development, there would be an element of that. Dakota County CDA has been speaking of other workforce housings that would have a townhome development element to it as well. So maybe we'll see more of that in the future. And then, of course, with the multifamily condo development, we've just seen a lot of that under construction. 452 units are under construction or just been constructed in the last year or two. So, HEDRA. We finally got the confluence done this year, which, as I said, this body started in 2009. We started with Hudson, the confluence, in 2010. So there's only been 1 year in our existence in which we didn't deal with that. And I know I've gone through some of the background information on that, but it's a good to pat yourselves in the back for this project, for sticking with this project and making this, seeing it through to the end to its success. So we're just happy to see that done. I'll have to figure out when we have the last bill. Maybe we'll have some sort of ceremony for that. I don't know. But yeah, $4.8 million in grant funding. I keep harping on that. We had a lot of great partners within that development that would not have happened without those grant funding. And then we move on to other projects. UBC Lumberyard.
I know I've said this before, excuse me. We wouldn't get that grant funding without your hard work and leadership for the Confluence Project. So thank you for sticking with it since 2010.
Sure.
And we as a community are so grateful for the work that you put in specifically to make that a reality, and the team that worked on it since that idea came to fruition.
Thank you. Thank you. And then, so now we took the worst, horrible, most complicated project in town first, as HEDRA. So everything we do beyond here is going to be much easier. You know, it's kind of a baptism by fire, I guess. So, and I'm not taking anything away from the Lake Isabel Flats project. It's a great project, but a lot less time period involved in it. HRA back in 2006 acquired the site. Old lumberyard, if you can recall, used to be there, moved them out to the industrial park. They eventually moved elsewhere. That's where Cranky Ape is today. But we always saw that land as, hey, we want to be able to expand the residential housing in downtown. And finally, we're able to come up with a plan and establish a tax increment finance district to help the construction of it. And Lake Isabel Flats is well under construction. 89 units down there right now. This should be open by spring, maybe summer. and it's going to add a tremendous amount of vitality to the downtown. With the opening of the Confluence on one end, with the opening of Lake Isabel Flats on the other, and other opportunities that we have within the downtown area, this could really change things down there. Not that things go well downtown, but there's always been a sense that could more happen? Could we add upon the good things that we have and grow the downtown? And these two projects really set the scale for doing that and finding the path for others to do more in the future. So very happy with this project. And then the continuation we have with Block 28 on 4th Street in Vermillion. Last year, we had purchased a couple of properties. If you take a look at this map here, yeah, here you go. The areas in green, we purchased last year, which were Rivertown Liquors and Country Nights and the parking lot behind here. And with your assistance, we were able to continue that forward last year with the properties in yellow. Now, this isn't a Green Bay Packer theme. I realized that after I did this. But properties in yellow here. So we're gnawing away at this block. What we want to be able to do is this, or something like it. We had our Vermillion Street corridor plan that we produced in 2018 that showed different areas along Vermillion Street and types of development. So ultimately, looking at something that could be a mixed-use development centered at 4th Street and Highway 61 that could be on the corner, have a commercial element to it, have residential on top, put the parking behind it, and maybe take advantage, too, of Wilson Park behind here. So maybe we do something a little bit different on this end of it. But the other projects we've done with Confluence and with Lake Isabel Flats are going to show a market hopefully for this development in the future. So this is a picture here of the lovely properties we purchased. Very proud of those as they sit up here. And with Dick's Barbershop, we do have that continuation of the lease that we're doing. So when we look into 2024, in our March meeting, I've put that aside as I really want to sit down and look at our long-term planning on some of these projects here. Part of it is getting into our work schedule for 24 and also getting into our budgetary stuff for 25. So really, this is where we have a lot of priority right now. Love to be able to acquire the rest of the properties in the block and really get something underway here, which is great. We had our facade improvement grant program here. These are the projects that we funded last year. Great picture here for Hastings Family Service of taking off this awning that was just kind of 1970s looking to return it back to something that let a lot cleaner look there. Open to business we talked about, great business. Natalie will share more with us last year. Hastings Makers Market, that was a great project. We had a really good intern last summer, Maddie Swanson, who just took hold of this and ran it. And we're going to have another community development intern coming forward this year. We've got the funds in the budget and have that individual continue on the great work that was done last year there. And then we continue to market our shovel-ready site within the industrial park, 50 acres, working with Evoke Partners, Raisa Motala, to help sell that property. So that is what I have as a snapshot update, and I can stand for any questions.
I just have a couple comments. I'm really encouraged by the number of apartments that we're getting. For years, there was nothing there. I think it's a great vehicle for folks that aren't ready to purchase and for seniors. And when seniors go into these places, we know that opens up housing stock for young families. And a lot of that's affordable stock for young families. It leads to the vitality of our community to have young families who can afford to be here. It certainly helps our school district to have young children enrolled in the school district. So I'm very happy about that. I think the second point I'll make is, I think I've shared this comment perhaps before, but Walden, I think, is going to be very interesting. Part of my education when I first got on this commission was that, my passion about affordable housing and how, lots size is one of the encumbrances for building affordable housing. So I think this new concept, it'll be, hopefully lead to some more affordable housing in our community, and I'll just be interested to see how the city embraces that. So I'm looking forward to that. I think those are all, really, really positive developments. Years ago, I sat in a round table, well, not that many years ago, and one of the things I heard from local business owners was, we need workers. And it's hard to get people here because we don't have that transportation element. So this concept I think, will help, our goal of continuing to provide affordable housing for folks so they can, perhaps work in our community. So those two things in particular I'm excited about.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you. John and Alex, I want to highlight something you mentioned. I always forget what it's called, but when you go and visit businesses and do
Business drop-ins.
BRE, yeah, thank
BRE,
you.
yep.
Those visits are very meaningful. Your engagement with the business community is so appreciated, and our peers in other cities are a little envious because we have a really engaged economic development team. So thank you for that. And I think part of, just to piggyback a little bit off of Commissioner Horsch, we have this agility and this ability to find out what the trends are and then work with them because you're so connected to our community in Hastings. So thank you.
I have a question on the apartments that we've seen go up. We've seen quite a few. Obviously, there's some more too on the schedule. Have we seen them fill up? I mean, what is the occupancy? I know some of them aren't open yet, but are the expected occupancy rates, full, or what's the status on?
Yeah, I'm curious as to how current 33 is happening right now. I think people started moving in there right around the first of the year, so be curious as to what their lease rates were. Alex and I were at a session, I think you were at this one today, where there was a guy from City Administrator of St. Peter's that put up an apartment building there. They hadn't had one for years, and it was full, 60-unit building was full within 10 days, which is interesting. And we had the same anecdote with Stencil, who's doing the Lake Isabel Flats, and the project they did down in Northfield, which was a similar type of building, similar type of setting, a couple blocks right from the heart of downtown Northfield. And that one filled up like that too. So I'm hopeful on that one. Market demand we still have a lot of units that were short, and it's the affordability and getting people into housing is still an issue. So I'm very hopeful, but I do want to follow up on that.
Any other comments or questions for staff or each other?
I guess I do have one more. Looking at the agenda for this evening, the sale of the property reminded me of the Lightbourne Court property we sold to Greg Lowe. And I'm wondering from start to finish, and part of this is not on us, right? But how long does it take between showing interest in a property and finally putting a shovel in the ground? It felt like it took a long time for him to get that done. And obviously that's a lot of investment on his part too, or not just him, but other potential businesses. And is there anything we can do to cut the red tape, so to speak, and
Sure.
speed that up?
Sure. In looking at land, I think one of the important elements is to be able to, from a developer standpoint, is to be able to have the property under contract so that you know that you can move forward, you can take those soft costs for engineering and architecture into consideration without the property being yanked out from under you there. So what we try to do at the very beginning is if somebody comes in here with a question of wanting to build or buy a piece of property, we'll get them in front of HEDRA within a few weeks typically on that one, get that under contract with them, and then it's really up to them to put together the plans take those forward to planning commission and council. Those meetings don't take too long. I mean, we take it to planning commission, then we'll take it to council the following week. But sometimes that plan development aspect of it takes a little bit longer on that one.
Okay, yeah, that's a piece where it's like, it's probably not all on us, right? And maybe there's some steps that, on my end, I don't understand as well as I should to, excuse me, get that under contract so it doesn't get sold from under you. But thank you, appreciate that.
And I think an important part too with HEDRA being the body here is that, what we want to be able to do is to make sure the land we sell is developed. And we're not in a situation where we sell land and it just sits. And so we do have the provision as an economic development authority to claw that back if it doesn't happen with a certain amount of time. So we do try to hold their feet to the fire to do development within a year and a half or so. But, so it's a balance that we do. I understand sometimes things take a little bit longer for whatever reason, but ultimately want to see property developed.
Anything else? Okay, well, it's been said a couple times here tonight, but thank you, staff, both of you, John and Alex. Everything that happened in that great 2023 recap happens because of your day-to-day work. So we appreciate you making all those things possible and the insight that you give us to keep this rolling. So very much appreciated.
Thank you.
With that, I will stand for motions to close.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, meeting is adjourned.